Hey fellas, Chris from Obutto here. Just want to go over the new Obutto r3volution and all of its adjustability, just to clarify things for everyone, so everybody can get a good idea of how wicked this thing is, because I'm really happy with it. You know, this thing has been about 2 years in the works. Basically 2 years ago we started really looking at designing a new cockpit that would meet, you know, the needs of people in a different way that I've only understood since selling these cockpits and, you know, over the past 5-6 years. All the feedback we've gotten from people, but also my own use, because I've only used one of our cockpits, our old cockpit, for, you know, the past 6 years since we first made our very first Obutto cockpit. And all that put together, you know, this is kind of what at least my understanding is, and my, you know, taking all that information in and simulating it and putting it into a gaming cockpit or a cockpit for computer use for the masses. So anyhow, I just want to go and touch base with you know, with everything on the cockpit, or with you guys on everything on the cockpit, to show you all the adjustability. Let's start out with the keyboard tray, because to me it's the most important thing. Whether you're gaming in a sim racing genre game, or flight sim, or first person shooters, or even use the internet, the keyboard tray is integral, because on your keyboard, with a computer next to you, you have to have a keyboard and mouse. That's why we've always included this, with our cockpits, and why we always will. Now what we've done here is, you can see, this is a different arm. It's a fully articulating arm, which basically allows you to move and rotate this exactly where you want it. I mean, you can move this thing all crazy, like, I mean, everywhere. It's like all over the place. Obviously, you know, when not in use, it would be in a position like this probably, or even like that, or like, I don't know, however you have it, I don't know. For me, it's usually like that, because I'll get out on that side of the cockpit. It mounts on either side, just like our Obutto oZone cockpit. If you prefer it on the right, you can mount it over there. But we're looking at it on this side now. You can see this fully articulating arm. It'll move the keyboard tray, or the keyboard and your mouse, right centered over your body, so you can type on your keyboard, work your mouse, blah blah blah. Underneath here, which you probably can't see right now, but I kind of put in a nifty thing to kind of make it possible so you can adjust. You know, if the keyboard tray is tilted, slanted down a little bit, because you got a lot of weight over here compared to where it's attached to this tray, there's this nifty little way you can drive some bolts up, and it actually lifts up the right side to level it out. And you can set it to however you like it. I mean, you can even maybe, the way I kind of designed it, you can actually even tilt it up towards you a little bit. I wouldn't really recommend that though, because most keyboards take that in consideration by giving you little feet to flip up underneath. But it can do that as well. But the most important thing is, it can be placed low, and right where you need it to be an ergonomic position. Because ergonomics in using a keyboard, you know, there's thousands, if not millions, of people that are suffering from using a keyboard in a non-ergonomic way. Having all kinds of, I don't know what they call it, all that, like carpal tunnel syndrome and all that kind of stuff. You know, this thing is mainly designed for people to use a computer comfortably. That's the first and foremost thing. Now, I'm very happy to say that we also do cater to all the genres of games out there, for providing mounting locations to make it as realistic as we can possibly make it. In my opinion, at least, a very, very good way. Well, I think the best way. But to use a computer comfortably means being ergonomic. And this keyboard tray, where it is now, nice and low above your legs, your forearms are parallel to the ground, which is where you want it. Now for me, I'm 6'2", 178 pounds, probably 180, but I like to say 178. You can see my forearms. If my keyboard was on here right now, my forearms would be like that. My legs are nice and straight out in front of me. They're raised up on the foot tray, or pedal tray, or rudder pedal tray, whatever you want to call it. So it's a very ergonomic position to use your computer for hours and hours. So that's the keyboard tray. It's covered in a mouse pad material, something you guys are probably familiar with. It's basically neoprene with a certain cloth over the top that allows your mouse to skate across it very nicely and smoothly. It's really basically the same as our Obutto oZone, except now we're making it self-adhesive so people can take them off and replace them. Hopefully we're going to offer other colors and things like that in the future, we'll see. But moving on, let's get this out of the way, which you can do nowadays. You can swing it all the way out. See my can of snooze here, sitting on the tabletop. Onto the tabletops, these are fully articulating on this cockpit. They're on fully articulating arms. Not only that, the actual tabletop is articulating. It will, it will spin around, blah blah blah, and you can position exactly where you want. Now, why would you need this? Basically, the reason is this. If you're not using a desk anymore and you're using a cockpit, you need tabletop space. That's why we first introduced having a tabletop on our cockpits 3 years ago. Because our cockpit is made to replace desks. It's for people who don't write at their desks, but they just use their computers, which in my opinion is most people. We don't sit at traditional style desks anymore, or so-called computer desks, and write on them. We use our computers. We use our computers almost all the time. At least I do. Everybody I know does, so I just figure everybody else does. So with the tabletop on this cockpit, it includes two fully articulating arms, a VISA mounting plate that's 75 by 75, 100 by 100 millimeters, and 200 millimeters by 100 millimeters, which are your standard VISA bolt patterns. It also comes with two acrylic see-through. Can I see you? I don't know. Can you see me? Can you see it see-through? See-through, like translucent acrylic tabletops. They're about 1 centimeter in thickness, and it also has this nifty little I don't know what we call it. We call it something that it's kind of like a little holder so you can, like, when you tilt the tabletop, you can put your keyboard up here, and it'll hold your keyboard at an angle. So I know flight simmers, sim racers, they like to do that, but also people who use this for work and for business use. You can put a writing tablet on it. See on this side, you put a writing tablet over here, and you can pull this bad boy right in front of you and draw on it. On the other hand, you can, if you're gaming, you're doing sim racing, whatever, flight sims, you can put your keyboard on it up here near your steering wheel, so it's a little bit easier. Another thing you do, which is pretty cool with these tabletops, is this. Instead of mounting the acrylic on it, you can not attach the acrylic, and instead you can hard mount a 19 to say, I wouldn't even go over a 22-inch monitor just because it'd be crazy having anything bigger on this. But you can hard mount it on here, on this VISA mount. So you can have another display down here to your side, and you can do it on either side, left or right. And you can do it. Now you can tighten these arms down, or these joints down, to where they don't move quite so freely. You can position them however you want. I mean, I've noticed, positioning it like this, if you're doing a flight sim or sim racing thing, to hit keys on your keyboard, I mean, I'm hitting it hard enough to knock, and these aren't even tightened down right now. So you can see that they do their job the way they need to do it. So that's the tabletops. Let's move on to something else. Let's say the steering wheel mount, because it's handy. Let me swing these out of the way so you can see everything clearly. The steering wheel mount we kept in line with our original design of the Obutto oZone in keeping a slanted, telescoping steering wheel mount. Now I think that's the way to go. I'm still a firm believer in it. We've been doing it for a long time, and people are very happy. But what we did do is we the original oZone was at an angle like this. Well, now it's more like that. It's a flatter angle. So as you pull the steering wheel mount towards you, it goes up in height. Sorry about the scars and stuff on here, but I can rub them off. But as it goes up in height, it's basically for taller people, taller, bigger people, and also people who want, even if you're shorter people who want their steering wheel at a proper race driving position, because there's so many sim racing cockpits out there that you're stuck with one position that's way too low. It was like that 6 years ago when we designed the first Obutto, and even today I still see cockpits where it's like that. I've always been a big preacher of proper race driving positions, and this cockpit you can achieve a proper race driving position even better than our Obutto oZone because of the pedal tray and the fore and aft adjustability of it, which I'll get to later. But for this, it moves up and down in height and distance to you. Of course, you can move your seat to adjust to it, but it also tilts. Okay, right now I have all these, there's 4 bolts here. I have them loosened right now so I can freely move it in this video, but it tilts. Now this is an early prototype, and I had it angled, when it's at its highest this way position. But the actual production that we're doing puts this flat, just like a desktop. So if you prefer your steering wheel with the natural angle that the steering wheel manufacturer decided you should have, if you like it like that, which I actually kind of prefer it that way, I know a lot of people don't, you can have it that way. But there are very few aftermarket high-end steering wheels where you have to have it flat, because they're set on a flat surface. Mounting to a flat surface, that steering wheel is going to be perpendicular to the ground. So we changed it to accommodate even that small percentage of people who use those really good steering wheels. I mean, they're really good steering wheels, they just cost a lot of money, so most people don't buy them. But so it'll be able to do that. But on the steering wheel mount, you'll see on here we pre-drilled it for hard mounting your major off-the-shelf steering wheels, being Logitech's G25, G27, Thrustmaster T500 RS, which I'm using now. It's great. The Fanatic 911 wheels and their new CSR wheels. On this one we don't have I don't think on this one we have the CSR wheels drilled in, but we did put it into the production, so it'll be on there if you are that astute and realize and see, hey, wait a minute, CSR wheels aren't on there. Anyways, it's also covered in a self-adhesive piece of neoprene that's going to be provided with your cockpit. Reason being, I found, and pals of mine have found, that having something, we used to put duct tape under our steering wheels and things like that just to soften the feel. So you have that plastic casing on top of metal. I don't know. It feels better with something there. So this kind of really thin neoprene, I think, will feel good for you guys. You can put it on there if you want. If you don't want it, don't put it on. It's up to you, because it's self-adhesive. Also, something cool about the steering wheel mount is this. A lot of feedback we got over the years was guys wanting wire management in their cockpits. Now, it's hard to include that throughout the whole cockpit, but we're able to do it in this. And if you can see, the top of this is actually hollow. There's no top. There's some supporting brackets welded in. But when this slides into this female side, which that has a top, you can actually route your, steering wheels usually have 2 to 3 cables coming out of it. You can route it down through here, and it'll come all the way out down here by your feet.